No one in the group was interested in talking to anybody. It was almost like immediately clamming up and like, we're not going to say anything.
Now, Nancy had been gearing up and planning on taking this trip with some friends from a yoga class that she goes to in October of this year. And it was meant to be a relaxing getaway with people that she had attended this yoga class with before. Now, this yoga place that she would go to is named Hot 8 Yoga, and this is back in California. However, on October 19th, Nancy's family received a phone call from a retreat organizer named Eddie Ramada. Eddie Ramada was actually Nancy's yoga instructor for, I believe, like over a year back in California, and he called to inform the family that Nancy was actually kayaking on this lake when she suddenly just vanished. So you can only imagine the family's horror. Like, what do you mean she's vanished? This is the yoga instructor that went with them on this retreat. Where is she? What happened? Investigators believe that Nancy may have drowned, but Nancy's family and friends aren't completely convinced yet. Nancy's family ended up putting out a GoFundMe to try to raise money in order to have people look for her. Like, what do you mean she went missing on a lake that is over 1,000 feet deep? For days after Nancy went missing, helicopter and boat teams searched around the lake where they say Nancy was kayaking on, but they were not able to find her or any clues. It was like literally like she had just vanished. So she was kayaking and then she's gone. The search team is having allegedly issues getting the witnesses or the people that were with her to speak to them about where they last seen her. Because again, this is a huge lake. Huge. Then the Guatemalan prosecutor releases a statement and says the woman that was with Nancy said that she drowned. Then on November 13th, the family updated on the GoFundMe and said that there was still no sign of Nancy and that whoever this woman that Nancy was with was still not cooperating with the investigators or speaking out. Then 5 weeks after Nancy was missing, the family's devastated. They're looking for her. It seems like nobody is coming up and really saying anything. Everything is very hush-hush. This is when the woman that was with Nancy, she was kayaking with Nancy when she disappeared, released a statement to the media through her lawyer. Her name is Christina Blasek, and she is a public defender back home in California. Okay, so if she's a public defender, she knows the legal system very well. During this statement that Christina released through her lawyer, she said that she tried to tell Nancy not to jump in the water because it was rough, but that Nancy did not listen. Nancy jumped over so Christina could see that she was getting away from her kayak, so she went over and tried to get her kayak for her, and she said that when she was trying to get the kayak back to Nancy, she got close, but she lost it, and then she allegedly turned around to get the kayak again, but then when she turned back, Nancy was gone. A very chilling part of this case is there's actually a video that was released of Nancy on the day that she was kayaking, like waving to the shore. Now, meanwhile, the owners of this kayak company that Nancy used before she disappeared said that the group that Nancy was with immediately clammed up after she disappeared. Now, get this. Lee and Elaine Beal, the owners of Kayak of Guatemala, spoke out on Good Morning America and said that 10 people went out, but only 8 returned, leaving only Nancy and the other woman, who was Christina, paddling further into the body of water. This is when they said that no one in the group was interested in talking to anybody.
No one in the group was interested in talking to anybody. It was almost like immediately clamming up and like, we're not going to say anything. But we could see in the distance, of a distance of about 100 yards, 2 single kayaks. We watched them as they continued paddling until we lost sight of them.
There are a lot of people out there that believe that there were substances involved in this retreat, and that's why the other retreat members like Eddie and even Christina were reluctant to call the cops, okay? There are other people that believe that Eddie and Christina had it out for Nancy and that they did not want to help her because as soon as Christina made it back to the shore, Eddie was allegedly already there waiting for Christina and immediately escorted her back to her room without even paying the kayak place. Then, within 12 hours, they allegedly flew back to the U.S. when they were not supposed to leave then, okay? So, according to this kayak company, this group of people come there, they rent the kayaks, 10 of them go out, only 8 come back. Eddie's on the shore, allegedly waiting for Christina to come back in. They clam up, they don't speak to anybody, they all hop on planes and come back to the U.S. It is also rumored that Nancy's room had been completely ransacked. Now, that could be a bunch of different reasons. It could be because somebody was looking for an emergency contact phone number for her. It could be because everybody left and the locals or the cleaners came in there to see if there was anything worth, finding. Or another rumor is because there were substances involved or illegal substances involved in this trip, and they were trying to make sure they got rid of all of it before they got on a plane and left and before this became a full-on investigation. It's also being said right now that a sonar team from the U.S. is getting ready to head over and conduct a deep water search for Nancy. Now, this team is supposedly known for being the quickest in locating missing people in deep water. And a lot of people are wondering if it is, the Kylie Rodney situation, that same team. I'm not sure. There's mixed feelings about that online as well. However, finding Nancy one way or another, I really feel like it's like the main concern. So whoever can find her, it just is what it is. Go and find her. One last thing to consider though is this Christina chick by all means has the right to immediately get back to the U.S., not wanting to deal with the Guatemalan justice system there and remain silent. But also keep Brian Laundrie's parents in mind when you think about that. Now, what are my thoughts and opinions? When I think about what makes the most sense, now Nancy's family says that they do not believe she was involved in any substances. She wasn't that type of person. Whether she was or wasn't, I don't think she's any less of a person if she went over there and was having a Guatemalan good time while she is on break away from work or whatever. That's her business. It is what it is. But I do know that not all the time people tell their family members everything that they do, especially when they go on vacation. That saying, like, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I mean, I don't know. There are heavy rumors that psychedelics were involved, which sometimes happens. I mean, not all yoga retreats, you guys, but sometimes people go on yoga retreats and they're feeling good and, whatever. And I think that that could be a possibility that they were taking something and an accident happened and they all freaked out because they did not want to risk possibly dealing with the justice system down there. And they could be arrested for anything or being caught with something or tripping or something. And they cleaned up, ransacked, got everything out of the room, packed up, headed back to the United States and was freaking out. That could have happened. I don't know, especially once they got back to the U.S., why they didn't tell the truth, or why they don't just tell where she was last seen so they can find her, or somebody, or an anonymous tip or something. My goodness. I think that is probably the direction I'm leaning right now. Whether Nancy herself was doing anything, any psychedelics or whatever, that to me is neither here nor there. But I think that there's a good chance that there's people that were there that was doing that. And it just so happens that it was an attorney or a public defender who knew to keep her mouth shut. I hope that they find Nancy. I cannot help but to wonder what is going to come of this, especially after the Shanquilla Robinson case. I mean, we literally watched a video of this girl with her friends whom she trusted get beat on and ended up dying, and they flew back here real quick to the United States and left her body there in Mexico, and it was a full-on viral sensation. People outraged, people protesting, and as of now, nobody's been arrested. So I just hope that the family can have closure. They are torn up about this. And it really sucks because it's like, if you're going to go on a trip like this, especially like a young, no children, young woman, if you're going to go on a trip like this, what a safer way to go than with a whole group of people that you spend time with every week at a yoga retreat. Like, it just seems like she did everything the way that she was supposed to. And I saw on her GoFundMe page that her family posted, I guess a little kid in the neighborhood came and put a yellow rose and a lollipop on her car. I mean, people loved her. Kids loved her. She worked with disabled children. You have to be a special type of person to do that type of job anyways.